In the Top 10s video today, we're going to be looking at the 10 internet jokes that ended up getting people arrested. And in at number 10, it's Paul Chambers taking offense to snow. In early January 2010, heavy snow threatened to ruin flight plans from Doncaster Airport, and local Paul Chambers wasn't happy. He wrote on Twitter, "Crap, Robin Hood Airport is closed. You've got a week to get your shit together, otherwise I'm blowing the airport sky high." 1 week after the tweet, South Yorkshire police arrived at the hapless tweeter's workplace with a printout of the offending tweet. In the first case of its kind in the United Kingdom, Chambers was arrested under the Terrorism Act, interrogated, and banned from the airport for life. According to Chambers, the policeman who interviewed him had no idea what Twitter was. Detectives took his laptop, iPhone, and computer and put him on bail. He was finally cleared after 2.5 years when Crown Court judges said the tweet was clearly meant as a joke. It was definitely an ill-advised joke, but it certainly didn't deserve that reaction. Number 9. Justin Carter makes a ridiculous tweet. Justin Carter was arguing with friends on Facebook about the video game League of Legends when someone jokingly called him sick in the head. He humored them, saying, "I'm fucked in the head alright. I think I'm gonna shoot up a kindergarten and watch the blood of the innocent rain down and eat the beating heart of one of them." An obvious melodramatic, if not particularly tasteful claim that was followed by Justin saying that he was just kidding. However, a Canadian woman didn't take the joke well and called the police. Justin was arrested on Valentine's Day 2013 and sent to jail. His father made a Change.org petition to free him in November 2013, and the case continues to this day, with the now 19-year-old still facing a felony terrorism charge after being bailed out for $500,000 by an anonymous donor. Justin's attorney, Don Flannery, said that in his 10 years of practicing law, he had never seen bail set that high, even for murderers and rapists. Worse still, defense lawyers say that the police deliberately misquoted Justin's comments and lied about their warrant. They were alleged to have changed the wording of his Facebook comment and said they matched Carter's driver's license photo to his profile picture on Facebook, when Carter doesn't even have a driver's license. But hey, at least kindergartens around the country are safe from sarcastic threats. Number 8. Zhai Xiaobing parodies Final Destination. Zhai Xiaobing, a Chinese blogger and resident of Beijing, joked about a parody of the Final Destination movies under Twitter handle @StarRiver after circumventing the country's strict controls on social media. He said, #spoiler tweet, #proceed with caution, Final Destination 6 is being released. The Great Hall of the People suddenly collapses. Only 7 of the 2,000 plus people attending the meeting survive, yet each dies one by one in a bizarre fashion afterward. Is it God's game or death's wrath? How did the mysterious number 18 open the gates of hell? Shocking debut on November the 8th in theaters worldwide. Zhai was confirmed to be in a detention center for a microblog post containing false information on the internet. He then went radio silent. Concerned friend Liu Yangping investigated and found that he and his laptop had disappeared. Family members told her that they had been seized by police, who accused Zhai of terrorism. A petition in support of him was signed by prominent Chinese activists. It's well known that the Chinese government monitors Twitter even though it's blocked, so this is not the first case of its kind. In 2010, human rights activist Cheng Yangpin was sentenced to 1 year in a labor camp after retweeting a tweet that supposedly disrupted social order. Number 7. Dutch teenager threatens American Airlines. In a case that took the media by storm, a 14-year-old Dutch girl called Sarah, and known as Queen Demetriax on Twitter, was arrested by Rotterdam police after a tweet that threatened an Al-Qaeda attack on American Airlines. The tweet said, "American Air, hello. My name's Ibrahim and I'm from Afghanistan. I'm part of Al-Qaeda, and on June the 1st I'm going to do something really big. Bye." The American Airlines account responded quickly, saying that they take these threats very seriously and that her IP address would be forwarded to the FBI. She subsequently pleaded with the airline over Twitter, saying, "It was my friends, not me, and I'm so scared. I'm just a 14-year-old white girl. I'm not a terrorist," before turning herself in to the local police station. Rotterdam police later confirmed on their Twitter account that she'd been arrested. Her Twitter account quickly gained 30,000 followers, leading Sarah to consider auctioning her Twitter handle, with bids starting at $500 before the account was deleted. She was the subject of internet-wide ridicule, but other Twitter users didn't learn from her mistakes and sent dozens of similar threats. Number 6. British tourists to destroy America. Tourists Lee Van Bryan and Emily Bunting were arrested in Los Angeles for 2 tweets from Bryan's account that read, "Free this week for quick gossip prep before I go and destroy America." And 3 weeks today, we're totally in LA, pissing people off on Hollywood Boulevard and digging Marilyn Monroe up. Armed guards took him literally and searched his bags for shovels and spades, thinking he actually intended to dig up Marilyn Monroe's grave with Bunting as his lookout. The tweet was a reference to Family Guy, while the tourists explained that, in context, their use of the word destroy just meant party in British slang. A full body search was done on Miss Bunting, and the two were put in a prison cell and subsequently denied admission to the United States and forced to return home. Presumably, even if they were allowed to return to the US in the future, they wouldn't be thrilled about doing so. Number 5. Timebomb at a Pink concert. An Australian teenager was on his way to a Pink concert when he tweeted, "At Pink, I'm ready with my bomb. Time to blow up #Rod Laver Arena, bitch." The tweet was in reference to her song Timebomb, which the authorities were presumably not familiar with when they decided to use the boy's Twitter profile picture to find him in a crowd of 12,000 waiting fans and force him out of the arena. At first, police intended to be lenient with him, but took more serious measures at the arena's urging. According to a witness at the stadium, up to 20 security guards approached him. The boy was arrested and charged with being a public nuisance. His thoughts on the contextual misunderstanding? It was meant to be about drop the effects, the music, everything. Just drop it all. Number 4. Loraine doesn't like Scots. Yet another 19-year-old arrested for a social media post. This one a Twitter troll from Sunderland believed to be Loraine, who was arrested in Scotland for making a joke about a garbage truck crash in Glasgow that killed 6 people. He allegedly said, "So, a bin lorry crashed into 100 people in Glasgow, eh? Probably the most trash it's ever picked up in one day, that." That definitely seems like something a 19-year-old would say to try to sound cool and edgy on the internet, but he handed himself into police after complaints about the tweet. Loraine posted the offensive tweet only an hour after the incident, and furious Twitter users alerted police after the tweet went viral. Police confirmed that he was arrested on suspicion of making a malicious communication, but had been bailed pending what will presumably be a very silly investigation. Number 3. Josh Pillault invokes Columbine. Mississippian Josh Pillault was arrested in October of 2012 for making threats while playing RuneScape. Another player had told him to kill himself, and he responded that not only would he kill himself, he'd take the whole school with him too, like Columbine. Once he mentioned Columbine, the other player said, "Knock knock," as if he knew what was coming next. Police raided his home a few days later and arrested him. He remained in jail for 9 months and pleaded guilty in hopes of an easier sentence, and it was thought that he could face up to 10 years in jail and a fine of $250,000. That kind of worked, as Pillault was sentenced to 6 years in prison, including time in a mental health treatment facility. According to his mother, Pillault didn't own any weapons, and his teachers and doctor said he was no threat. Teachers were even willing to testify on his behalf. Number 2. Cameron D'Ambrosio's rap career gets put on hold. 18-year-old aspiring rapper Cameron D'Ambrosio was arrested in May 2013 for posting some of his rap lyrics on Facebook, which included "Fuck a Boston bombing, wait till you see the shit I do, I'm a famous for rappin', and beat every murder charge that comes across me." He was held without bail until a grand jury hearing, and while he admits that his rhymes were pretty weak, that hardly requires jail time. Prosecutors wanted to charge the teenager with threats to make a bomb or carry out a vehicle hijacking, crimes that can mean up to 20 years in jail. The police engaged in some shady behavior. When talking to the media, they didn't mention that D'Ambrosio was an aspiring rapper. Without that detail, his status just seemed like a threat, and when searching for evidence against his character, prosecutors brought up a fight he'd had with his sister when he was 11 years old. The police didn't seem to understand Facebook, as the department's blog said the lyrics were posted in a Facebook phone message. It also said that the lyrics weren't directed at anyone or anything in particular. On the weight of all this non-evidence, a grand jury declined to indict him. Number 1. James Buss is bad at sarcasm. Buss, a Wisconsin teacher, was arrested on November 29, 2007 for a blog comment sarcastically praising the perpetrators of the 1999 Columbine high school shooting. The arrest came after owners of the political blog Boots and Sabres gave the name of the commenter to police, as Buss had commented under the pseudonym Observer. The comment said that teacher salaries were too high for the pitiful work they do, and "We've got to get in the back of the kids who've had enough of lazy, no-good teachers and are fighting back. Kids like Eric Harris and Dylan Keibold, they knew how to deal with the overpaid teacher union thugs." Since he was a teacher himself and past president of a teachers' union, it's unlikely that Buss genuinely wanted teachers shot. He was put on paid leave during the incident, presumably as a compromise between recognizing how absurd his arrest was and acknowledging how stupid his comment was. He was charged with disorderly conduct and unlawful use of computerized communication systems. However, he was released on $350 bail after spending just 1 hour in Washington County Jail. Prosecutors declined to file charges against him, presumably because they had many better things to do. So I really hope you enjoyed that video, and I'd love to know what you think of it, so please leave a comment below. I'm also going to link over to another video that you might enjoy, so just click on that thumbnail on the screen now, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we put out a new video 7 days a week, and you can also visit us online. Just go to TopTenz.net. Thanks for watching.